Energy Board, but we figured that we all had to come at them in different ways to make our concerns known about the project. So the leadership had clear direction from the communities where to go. I mentioned some of the regulatory challenges we experienced with the panel. We were asking, demanding for a First Nations-led review process, parallel to other levels of government. Just to give you a quick overview of how we had to look at it in a holistic way, I'll get into more details. We had to look at our human resources. How are we going to fight this pipeline? In 2005, after we did our homework, we said Enbridge is no longer allowed to step a foot in our territory. So we wouldn't accept their money, and we wouldn't accept money from the Canadian government to participate in their review process. So we had to get creative with our fundraising. We had to make sure that we had a person who would be solely dedicated to this file. That was the role of my mother. We had to look at how we're going to sustain ourselves financially to run this campaign. I'll get into more details of that. We had to look at partnerships, different legal experts, environmental, financial, and media experts as well, and find ways of how we can fundraise to continue our work. We had to look at building unity, not only amongst ourselves internally as First Nations, how we could get our elected leadership and hereditary leadership together. We were successful in that for the sake of our water, which connected us all. And we had to make sure that the source of tar sands was brought into the conversation, which is what we're hoping to do here today, to start a national conversation on tar sands pipelines and the impacts of climate change. What we noticed, Enbridge and Canada, what they tried to do was turn us against each other. Divide and conquer tactics. And they would like to spin it in the media. So there's a whole bunch of First Nations who signed on to the pipeline. What do you think about that? We said, no, we had to talk to them. We had to straighten it out. But we were very aware of the divide and conquer tactics that they tried to use and tried to get the mainstream public to believe their lies. What they couldn't deny is that over 130 First Nations signed on to the Save the Fraser Declaration. That was our Indigenous laws that banned tar sands pipelines, Enbridge's project, from crossing our lands and our waters. This was our legal ban. This project was not going to go through. You'll see in the map the areas in red. Those are First Nations that are opposed to Enbridge's project. So we had them surrounded. We had nations all the way from the Arctic down into the United States, all around BC. Enbridge could not go through our unbreakable wall of unified opposition. Our non-Native brothers and sisters also wanted to support us. They said it shouldn't be just up to the First Nations to do it on their own. We all depend on the water, land, and climate. So we did the Save the Fraser Solidarity Accord. It was a way for people to pledge their support. In case anything happened, they would be on the front lines with us. We would see many organizations pledge and support our Indigenous law and our legal ban, from the Canadian Association of Physicians for the Environment to the BC Teachers Federation and Greenpeace and beyond. The photo on the top left is when our communities marched the streets of Vancouver. We were delivering our law, our Save the Fraser Declaration, to Enbridge's headquarters. They wouldn't let us in, but the chief holding the sign was able to make it up. She was waiting to us on the third floor. I don't know how she got through security. The photo on the right, we got tired of attending Enbridge's shareholder meeting every year. So we took an ad in their paper in Alberta and said, Enbridge, figure out how you're gonna get out, exit strategy, just get out. We didn't only look in the media here in Canada and in their house in Alberta. We went as far as reaching the media in China. That was where the product was going to be shipped to. And what we noticed is that even the Chinese community in Vancouver, we put ads there as well. They're putting pressure on their government in China as well to be more concerned about the project, because they didn't want to harm the First Nations. So their people did the work too for us. We had to get creative and also look at who's got a financial interest in Enbridge's project. We attended every major Canadian bank's shareholder meeting. TD, BMO, CIBC, Scotiabank, and we wanted to let them know that there were financial risks, legal risks, environmental and social risks. We didn't just look in Canada's borders, we went international as well to the Royal Bank of Scotland, who also had interest in the project, and let their shareholders know that it was a dead horse, it was not worth investing in, and to consider as a financial institution who they're giving money to. Is the principles of free, prior, and informed consent being considered when they're lending those projects, those companies money? And then we had to find ways to take action without money sometimes. And it was simple as making wanted signs. Again, divide and conquer tactics, or Enbridge would send Aboriginal liaisons to our communities and try to get elders and our traditional leaders to sign over their trap lines and their territories. So we made wanted posters with their faces. We said, if there's any sightings, please contact me at this number. They may try to engage you in consultation. So throughout the 6 communities, we were able to track their every move. There's been a sighting, so they get shoved down wherever they went. Their liaisons got fired for not making progress. From wanted posters, we put signage around our territory. We issued a cease and desist order to Enbridge for no trespass. It also included their environmental consultants that they hired to attempt to do the groundwork. We started placing motion cameras around the territory where they're trying to do work and get our elected and hereditary leadership ready to take action if they violated our trespass order. We held an all clans gathering, our traditional governance system, through potlatch. We invited Enbridge, Canada, BC, to come and hear in our court why we banned the project under our laws. We went as far to the United Nations. We filed under the Committee on the Elimination of Racial Discrimination for how Canada was trying to review the project. We even lobbied members of the United Kingdom and the European Union, testifying in their parliaments, letting their decision makers know overseas that not only this pipeline, but other pipelines all are having an impact on our global climate. So bringing that global conversation into the picture as well. We started to get attacked by Canada, claiming that we were foreign-funded radicals and extremists, and any of our allies who opposed were radicals as well. The National Energy Board did recommend that Canada approve the project, but again, for us at that time, we knew it was just a recommendation. but we also knew that the process was flawed. Even our brothers and sisters who participated in it as well knew it was flawed, but we all had different strategies to come at this project. We had to use social media as well as mainstream media to get our message out there. We did the Hold the Wall campaign, so holdthewall.ca. People were able to go there to pledge their support, and also it was one of our big fundraising strategies that we used. Canada considered the project to be in the national interest. 209 conditions are to be met. To this day, one of those conditions were that by July 1st, Enbridge have all their shippers identified. They still have yet to have one. Some general lessons that we learned along the way: making sure we have a point person, a coordinator, someone who doesn't have a million other files on their table, but can focus strictly on this. We had to look at different partnerships, and if it was going to be mutual or not. Our experiences were that a lot of environmental organizations were exploitive, or patronizing, or would try to come and put their logo on everything, or try to speak for us. And we had to tell them, you know, we can't do this on our own, we'll need your help, but here's how you're going to help us on our terms. And the fundraising that we did, that was one of the ways they supported us. Lessons also learned is trying to keep fire on them at all times, on all different angles, to create that constant risk for investors, and to keep legal uncertainty for the government. We also tell people, we've been at this one file, this one pipeline for 10 years so far, since we began our research. So be prepared to sacrifice many years of your life, like many of you know, doing this work. This is the longest I've been away from home for my family. We still got another 2 weeks to go, but we believe that the communities and people we're meeting will hopefully hear the words that we're, and our stories that we're sharing with you. We're getting ready for court against Enbridge. October 1st is when we start. There's 8 First Nations, including 2 of our Yinka Dene Alliance communities, and there's many non-profit organizations, including Unifor, the largest union representing tar sands workers. They are supporting of our legal ban, and we're against Enbridge in Canada. You can go to pulltogether.ca, and that is where we're doing a lot of our fundraising. In our first phase, we raised $250,000 through this website for our court challenges. This second phase, we're looking to raise $350,000, and we're seeing a lot of support, not only in BC, but across the country, who are holding fundraisers to help us with our work.
There was also, you had another donor who was going to match dollar for dollar.
And there is a donor going to match dollar for dollar, anonymous donor. So just thank you for reminding me. And so there's some links here if you want more information. But the main reason we came here, share some of our successes, some of our challenges, and to begin that national conversation that even all these pipelines still are being proposed to go across Canada. We have to talk about climate change, how the expansion of the tar sands is only increasing that, and how we can work together. So there is resolution. So we're proposing a national declaration for First Nations across this country to come together on finding ways to support each other when dealing with tar sands pipelines and climate change. We have a few more communities to go to, but in that I want to thank you for giving us this time in your busy agenda, and to hear us, we've come a long way, and